I'm Jackie Tai, and I'm the head of publishing operations for PeerJ. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to be sharing with you what we are, what we do, and how we do it. PeerJ is a new open access publisher. We specialize in biological and medical sciences. We publish in PeerJ, the peer-reviewed journal, as well as our preprint server, PeerJ Preprints. So we were founded on basically the question of what's next. Open access has been established as a viable philosophical model, and we've got great publishers out there. We've got Hindawi, we've got Biomed Central, we've got PLOS. They're all out there, and they're all doing open access, and we're seeing a lot of support for it. We're seeing a lot of demand for it in the science disciplines. And so the question came to us that that's great, we're making the content available and accessible, but what about the scientists doing the work? The economic environment being what it is, certainly the idea of the cost to our contributors is one of the first and foremost issues for them. People operate on grants. Grants are increasingly hard to get. USA Today recently reported that the AAAS has estimated over the next 5 years, funding for basic research will be decreased by $54 billion. It's a huge hit for scientists who function on grants. So what can we do to help them to make publishing a little bit easier or a lot easier and less painful and less expensive while continuing to produce open access? So the people who are trying to experiment in this space, you may recognize some of them. Jason Hoyt is our co-founder and our CEO. He leads our tech team. He's very ably supported by Alf Heaton, our senior software developer. He's an absolute wizard with platforms. And they are supported by Patrick McAndrew, our senior engineer, who makes sure that everything works great in the background, that nothing goes down, that no matter how much traffic we have, the site stays up. You're able to download or view anything that you'd like to see. On the publishing side, you probably recognize Pete Binfield. He's our co-founder and our publisher, previously from PLOS One, just like I am. And we both bring the PLOS One open access experience to the table. So our small but merry band are bringing our knowledge of publishing and platforms, and we're tackling all of those wish lists. Wouldn't it be nice, wouldn't it be cool if we could lists? We're taking the foundation of what we've known, what people have come to expect from open access, from the publishers that are out there, and we're using that as a springboard to see what else we can do, how well we can do it. One of the very first things that our craft tech team has produced is an entirely new submissions system. The platform was meant to be very user-friendly, to be at least somewhat attractive. Basically, we wanted to make sure that any author who needed to sit down and submit their paper to us didn't have to block off an entire day. They didn't need to plan for them and 2 grad students to sit in front of the computer and struggle with the computer all day just to get a submission to our system. And we think to quite a high degree, Jason and Alf have really accomplished a lovely system that they built from the ground up, and it drives the authors to submit with ease. And we're constantly iterating. Of course, we live in a world of iteration at PeerJ, so we are always looking at how we can make that site better. And of course, we do the same with our publishing platform. So where your articles are going to be published will be attractive, they'll be easy to use. Authors who publish with us, readers who just come by the site because they've heard of an interesting paper or they're looking for something relevant to their studies or their research. they should be able to find anything that they need right there in front of them without any of the fluff or the clutter that they don't want. Our preprint server, again, meant to be very easy to use, meant to be a fully built out system ultimately. Its first iteration will not have every bell and whistle, of course, but part of that is intentional. We want to make sure that what we are able to do is be flexible to respond to any feedback that we're getting from our users. So ultimately, we like to aim to have a full set of privacy controls for our users so that you can have any kind of user, anybody who wants to be in there for their own personal use or to share their work, they all have an option to do so with us. Of course, it'll be fully integrated with our peer review site, so if you actually complete your work on that particular piece of research or that manuscript, you can very easily move right into the peer review environment seamlessly. So, editorially, we focus on the rigor of the science and how solid the science is. So our ed board is mainly worried about making sure that the science is being communicated well, that it's good science, that it's been conducted properly, that it adheres to our open data policies, that what you've got in front of you is a solid piece of work. That's their aim. Behind the scenes, our team is making sure that we produce the highest quality journal possible. So we are, of course, publishing under the CC BY license primarily. Of course, we've got options for our government employee contributors who are not able to publish under CC BY. We are a member of OASPA, and we contribute our publications to Crossref to make sure that we are helping to build that database of publications. We are also planning for, of course, the worst case scenario, so should PeerJ ever close their doors, all of the publications that we've put out there are archived, so you do not ever have to worry about losing your publication. So that's something that a lot of authors will, of course, be quite concerned with a new company, and it answers the question, well, why should we publish with you if we don't know if you'll be here next week, next month, or next year? Certainly we hope to be here then, and we plan to be here, but we're not just basing it on hope. That's not exactly it. We're making sure that our authors are covered. One of the experiments that we've been very excited to try is changing the payment model. We have the subscription model, and we have the flat fee model, and what we are trying here is the membership model. This not only reduces the actual bottom-line cost, but it reduces a lot of the angst that scientists may have as they're approaching their peer review process, as they come to the end of their grants. There's a lot of concern about whether or not they'll be able to meet the ABC charge because their funding may run out. With us, they can pay a flat fee. They can decide when they want to pay it. Of course, they do need to pay before publication, but with a couple of options for those people who want to have some choice, it's basically quite simple. And of course, the details behind this are that all contributing authors up to a maximum of 12 are expected to pay for a membership. Everybody after that is asked to take a free membership. The second thing that we were really excited to have at launch is open peer review. Now, there are two angles to this. One, we don't just encourage our reviewers to sign the reviews, which we find authors really appreciate, but we also want to make that information valuable to more than just the authors. Our authors have the option of choosing to reveal everything about their peer review process, and what we're finding is that this isn't just something the authors like, but the users are really taking a look at that, and they're very positive about that. Along the way, of course, we have been very open about the things that we plan to do, the things that we have been trying. People are looking at open access as the thing that they really have to examine closely, particularly with the new mandates. But the environment out there, it can be a bit challenging for folks who aren't necessarily familiar with what it is we do and why we do it, and we've had a lot of support, a lot of champions speaking up for both what we do particularly as well as the world of open access. So it's been a few months, and we always sort of look back and evaluate where we are, how we're doing, whether this is working, and what we're finding is of our 60 manuscripts that we will have published by yesterday, the majority of those authors have chosen to share their review history. They're not just talking about wanting transparency in the process, they're not just talking about wanting it modeled, they're actually out there choosing to be the guinea pigs, choosing to put their history out there, and sort of revealing themselves to a large degree in the research community. And there's quite a lot of interest in that. About 12.5% of our page reviews on average tend to go to the review process, and we have as high as 20% page view traffic to that information. And of course, we've got reviewers who we're very proud of. Nearly half of them are willing to sign their reviews knowing that it's not just the authors who might see who it is that's critiquing them, but that those authors may then take that extra step and say, I'm throwing the doors open to the whole world. So you're accountable not just to the authors, you're accountable to the world. You can all see who's saying what about us and our papers. So of course we're quite proud of what it is that our authors are willing to try and what our reviewers are willing to do with the Ed Board. And there's some fairly interesting papers that we're pretty proud of. You may have seen the roller derby microbiome paper, our sauropods from Mike Taylor and Matt Waddell that came out with our launch. And speaking of launches, we've had 3 of them. So we first opened our doors to submissions publicly on December 3rd of last year. February 12th, we began publishing, so that was about 2 months later. And I'm thrilled to announce that today we're launching our preprint server, our first iteration of the preprint server. So it's been a very fast-paced sort of journey to take what we knew from PLOS, from Mendeley, from Nature, from our various backgrounds, and throw it all out there and jump off of that to essentially experiment with our community. It's been a great test of what we can do, how quickly we can do it, and how well it's received, and then going back and iterating again, saying, we've had this feedback, what can we do to make this better for the users, for the authors, for our editors? Thank you.